Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of almost all ages, with parental consent, the Sick Twisted Minds at Sacrificial Pawn Productions brings you a new style horror film, like nothing you have seen before. There are no cops, no investigations. There is no backstory, no follow-up of the victims who were brutally tortured and murdered. Our story isn't about them. Normal Terror is about a single dad struggling to make ends meet. His son is his first priority. He goes to work, pays his bills, and is generally a great dad. The twist comes after he puts his son to bed. This is where he releases his stress. Some people do yoga, some hit the gym, some go for runs, some people paint on a canvas. An anonymous source once wrote on an abandoned asylum wall, "I never understood people until I took one apart just to see how it worked." If you are rear-ended in traffic, most people's thought runs to anger and their primal instincts of hurting the other party. Sam Neill does not have the ability to stop that primal instinct. Let us take you into the mind of a killer. Normal Terror is a concept from the mind of Sam Mason, who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in this new age feature film.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, just Jason's mask.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy. Today I have the gentleman who runs SACRIFICIal, which I told you guys a lot about. JV, how's it going?
Everything's great. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me at the con. I'm super excited about this. This is my first year doing this as far as having my own table at a con with a podcast. I have experience with it with helping out a good friend of mine. I helped him out here in Albany, New York at two different cons. He has a podcast called Video Game Crosstalk, and I just kind of helped him run his table. People came over, gave him the spiel about his podcast and all that good stuff. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, it should be a great time. It's always a good weekend, and I love the podcasting community to be a part of the show for sure.
That's awesome. I love SCARICON too. I've been going, I think this is my fourth or fifth time going. I'm not 100% sure. I always, I forget that stuff. But I've been going for the past few years. And actually last year, I brought a good friend of mine, my friend Rob. He's like a brother to me. Me and my other brother. Henry, we've been to these cons a few times. And it was Rob's very, very first time going there. And it's so awesome when you go there with somebody that loves horror like we do, and then it's their first time going to the con. It's like a kid on Christmas or a kid in a candy store. His eyes were just wide open the whole time, just smiles the whole time. We had such an amazing time at this con.
That's a great way to describe it, kind of like a kid on Christmas. And I know that when I first started attending these cons, which really wasn't that long ago, I just had no idea that they existed. And the first few I went to, I was just bewildered and I couldn't believe that there were so many people that had similar interests to me. And there were conventions based on it, which is really why I decided to start SCARICON.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're right about that. Like, SCARICON is actually the first horror convention I've been to. And the same, like, it's just like, wow, I didn't know that there was a con just for horror fans. And it's awesome because everybody that I've met at these cons, as far as the people you guys invite, the celebrities you guys invite, and then as far as other fans, everybody's always so cool, so nice, and just the conversations are so awesome. They'll talk to you about any horror movie from Thanksgiving to Friday the 13th and anything in between, which I just find so freaking amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point, too. One of the things that I try to do, we try to have a really good balance of celebrities from, the people that everybody wants to meet, regardless of how they act at a con, versus the celebrities that are so appreciative of being there that they will go out of their way to make sure every single fan has a terrific experience. And I go to other conventions and I watch how these celebrities act. If they if they treat people like it's a cattle line and then they hide in their rooms for the rest of the weekend and don't interact, don't take pictures, they're not really Scaricon material. Sometimes we make exceptions based on who they are, just because there are certain people everybody wants to meet. But we really like the celebrities that are going to make the whole weekend a major experience for all the fans. That's what's important to us.
And as a fan, we definitely love and appreciate it because every year I went to Scaricon so far, never had an issue as far as the celebrities that you guys bring in. Everybody's always so nice. So they're as long as their lines aren't crazy, if they have nobody in the line, they'll sit there and talk to you for a while. Felissa Rose is one that comes to mind. I've met her a couple times, and every single time we meet her, she's always the same, happy, cheery, smiling, giving fans hugs, taking plenty of pictures, signing autographs, and all that. And she'll sit and talk with you as long, if her line's not crazy, she'll sit and talk with you. And it just makes you feel welcome when you go there. Like you're going there to meet the celebrity, to get their autograph, yeah, and you're going to spend money, but at the same time, they make it feel like, because of you guys, this is why it's going on.
Well, they have an appreciation for what's going on. They understand that if it wasn't for fans, their movies wouldn't have been successful, and their post-movie career, in this case, coming to conventions, wouldn't be successful either. So they have that appreciation. And Felissa is a great example of that. She's become like a sister to me. And she is someone I consider to be, and there's a group of celebrities that I call Scaricon ambassadors, because they've become such close personal friends that they are always invited to Scaricon, regardless of how many times they've been and where it is, they are invited. And you know what I found? That people like yourself and others who have developed relationships with these people over time, with Felissa, Ricky Dean Logan, Jason Lively, just to name a few, Sean Whalen is another one. They love seeing them year after year. Now, not every one of those guys can come back to every Scaricon. In fact, Felissa can't make this one in the fall because she's got a competing or conflicting convention to go to. But, they love being at the show, and they have relationships with the fans, and that's so important.
It really is. It's really what makes us all come back. And then you got that, and then you got the vendors, which are always, always top notch, amazing. I love all the stuff they go there, and let's just say I spend a lot of money at this con every single every single year. It's hard not to. Even when you go there and you're like, okay, like there's items I'll go there, I'll see. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna come back for it. I'm gonna come back for it. I'm gonna come back for it. And then I get closer to that item, I'm like, you know what, I just need to grab it now because it's the last freaking item. I do not have this in my collection yet. I need to just get it. And usually I do. There's been a few times, and I said this on another episode. It was at Scaricon last year. Somebody had Pamela Voorhees in a box. I believe they're asking $80 or $90 for it, and I had the money, and I walked past it about 8 times, and I did not get it. And I told my friend, I was like, this year, if you see a Pamela Voorhees, I told actually a couple of my friends, I was like, if you see a Pamela Voorhees at this con, make sure I leave with that. As far as if you guys see it before I do, call me over, Aaron. Come get this now. Take care of this now, because you've been talking about this thing for years.
Yeah, there's I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say this, but it's really kind of true. There's no reason to go into that environment where you're salivating like a kid in a candy store and not walk home with the things you want. I mean, you don't get that many chances to, first of all, find these things. Secondly, to actually buy them and walk out with them. And you're right about the vendors. Our vendors are diverse. They've got unbelievable products. This is going to be this Scaricon coming up is held on the weekend before Halloween, so it's going to be even more so appropriate for people to be getting things. And I'm amazed year after year at what some of our vendors show up with. I mean, I'm a fan as well as I am the promoter for Scaricon, and I don't leave Scaricon without bags full of stuff. I mean, it's the same for me every year.
Yeah, over here, like I said, the same thing. There's every year though, I kick myself for not buying something. I don't remember what everything was, but Pamela Voorhees is one of those figures that I feel like I need in my collection. I'm a huge Friday. I mean, I love all horror. Don't get me wrong. Slasher is probably my favorite genre of it, and Jason's my favorite slasher. So I have to have that. And it's just like, it's one of those items too that you don't come across a lot. Like you don't come across in the local stores around here. You don't come across online a lot for a decent price or a fair price. And it was in great condition. I mean, the box was a little dinged up. I don't care about that. But the figure, nothing was wrong with the figure, and I was just like, oh, I left that con like, oh, Aaron, you should have just got that freaking figure. But let's see what happens this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something to look forward to, right? That makes it worth coming back for. And the nice thing about picking up some of these things at an event like SCARACon is often there's a celebrity or two on hand that have something to do with whatever that item is, and you can get an autograph on it, which makes it even more cool.
You're absolutely right. I've gotten a few figures signed. As a matter of fact, one that comes to mind right now is when you guys had Doug Bradley there, I believe 2 years ago. My wife is a huge fan of his movie series, Hellraiser movies.
Hellraisers, yeah.
So I actually found a San Diego Comic Con figure. Found it online on eBay for a real decent price. It's like a silver figure, and I seen that he was coming to ScareCon, so when I got it, I put that to the side. I was like, I definitely got to bring this, and I had one of those little pictures of him, those little like poster type pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I got one of those, got both of those signed, so that was awesome, and he was real nice. It was just, you guys always get some great people. Two more that come to mind is actually three more. Sid Haig. Oh wow, one just slipped my mind. Caroline Williams and
Mm-hmm.
he played Chop Top. Bill Mosley.
Yeah,
Bill Mosley.
Yeah.
Those
Mm-hmm.
met those three last year, and my one friend Rob. That was actually the two he wanted to meet was Bill Mosley and Caroline Williams because that's his favorite horror movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and his face turned. Oh my goodness, his face turned beet red when he seen Caroline Williams. Me and my friend were in the back making jokes and stuff. Again, it was his first con, but they were just so nice to us and just I loved
Well,
it.
I think what a lot of people who haven't attended anything like this, like SCARACon, they go into the event with the idea that, the celebrity is going to be kind of like behind a glass wall or something. And, you can only, you kind of walk up to the counter and you get your thing and you move on. And it's not like that at all, especially people like Caroline and Sid and Bill Mosley. I mean, they honestly appreciate the fans just as much as the fans appreciate them. And they will talk and they like to talk. And someone like Felissa, like you mentioned before, you'll see her in the convention floor. But 9 times out of 10, if you're hanging out in the bar later, she's going to come in and have a drink and hang out and talk with you at the bar too. These people really enjoy the fans as much as the fans enjoy them.
See, that right there is awesome. That I just like I said, the interactions just make it so worth going every single year. And it's a fun con to go to. I cannot wait. I can't wait for this October to the end of October to go to that con this weekend, and all goes right with my podcast. I'm going to try to have that there from here on out.
Well, that'd be great. And this year has been a bit of a challenge for us because the way Turning Stone operates, because it's really the only game in town that can hold events like ours and bigger than ours. They don't give us generally a choice of a weekend. They just say, here, this is what you have this year. And if I had to pick, I probably wouldn't have picked the weekend before Halloween, just because I do know this from doing this so long that, the celebrities in the horror community tend to be pretty busy that weekend. So it's been a bit of a challenge, but we're actually pretty excited about a few announcements that we're going to be making in the next week. They're going to be game changer announcements. So we've got some good people already scheduled, and we've got some really exciting ones about to be announced.
I cannot wait to see this. I'm excited just to think about this.
Yeah, it's worth being excited about. One of the things that makes it difficult for us is that we are, and this is something we pride ourselves on too. We are an intimate convention, meaning that when you come to SCARACon, it's not like going to New York Comic Con where you're massed in with 20,000 people and you can't move, and you walk up to a celebrity table and there's a guy rushing you through next. Mm-hmm. Our convention, we get about 3,000 people, but you never feel crowded. I mean, this can be crowded, but you never feel like you can't move. And B, there's always time to spend with the celebrities. You want to talk to one of these guys, they will talk to you. They're not so busy that they're just going to push you through a line and move you on. And it's that type of intimacy that SCARACon will always have. Now, having said that, sometimes it makes it a little more difficult for us to get some of the really, A-list horror guys, like, someone like Robert Englund. I've been talking to him for 5 years, trying to get him to SCARACon. And the problem is that, he looks at a week and he says, okay, I can go to this, Comic-Con and get $100,000 or 100,000 autographs signed, or I can come to SCARACon and get 3,000. And which one am I going to do? And so far, we've been kind of on the losing end of those things, but we're making progress. And some of these names that everybody's been asking for are going to start showing up at our SCARACon events.
That's amazing. I actually got the opportunity to meet Robert England a few months back up here in Albany at I forgot what the
Oh,
con name was.
the Comic Con, yeah,
Empire.
it was Empire State
Yep,
Comic Con,
yep,
yeah. Hmm.
yep. I got to meet him at that, which was cool. And Amanda Weiss, which she was amazing to meet. She was so friendly. Loved her.
Yeah, she's a great lady, and she's going to be at ScareCon with us in October, and she's really excited. She was supposed to be with us last year, and then she had to cancel because she got a filming gig. But she's excited to be there this year.
I can't wait to see her again. She was so friendly, so nice.
Yeah,
Have you?
that's the thing. A lot of these guys are. I mean, they're not like they're not like A-list Hollywood celebrities that walk around with an attitude and an entourage. These are down to earth people for the most part, and many of them, they made their fame and fortune, if you will, 20 years ago or even longer, and then they went on to do something else, a different career altogether. So when they come back and revisit these conventions, it's almost like a walk down memory lane for them as well.
That's very 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 true. Actually, with that, that's very true with that. You're right.
Yeah, I was just talking with Michael Williams, who is Mike from Blair Witch Project, the original one from 1999, and he was at ScareCon a few years ago, and he's trying to come back. I don't think we're going to make it work for this time around, but next year it's going to be the 20th anniversary of Blair Witch Project, so we're going to try to get him for that. But he's a high school guidance counselor now. He
Wow.
says he does these things on the weekend, and he can only do so many because he's got a full-time job too. But he loves to do it because it gives him a chance to kind of share those experiences again with people.
That right there is awesome. Have you ever thought about trying to come to upstate New York, or sorry, Albany, New York?
You mean if to have a ScareCon in Albany, New York?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you ask that because we've been doing this Turning Stone event now for this is our 8th year in Turning Stone. We added the New England event, which originally was in Springfield, Massachusetts for 2 years, and this year we moved it to Framingham, Massachusetts, which is a little bit closer to Boston.
Hmm.
So it's kind of opening up a gap where we might have otherwise said, Albany's just too close to Springfield and or too close to Syracuse for us to do another event there. We'd kind of be shooting ourselves in the foot. But as we moved the New England ScareCon toward Boston, and we're looking at other options too for our Turning Stone event, there might be a little bit of a vacuum there, which would make an Albany show make a lot of sense.
I'll tell you right now, I would be first in line for that. That'd be amazing because Albany's like
Well,
20 minutes from me. So
well, it's always nice to hear. Albany can be a bit of a tough convention town. I'm not sure why. Um, but I don't know if it's because it's government. I don't even know. But there's a lot of fans there. I do know that, and I know they make the trip. They'll either come to Turning Stone, or they were coming to Springfield or whatever. And we would love nothing more than to be able to put a show right in the middle of Albany for those folks.
well, just that's my request if it ever happens. You heard it from me.
Duly noted. I've got it noted.
So what got you into running cons and all that, like running the Scaricon?
Well, like I said, I actually worked with the television show Ghost Hunters for a lot of years, and I used to travel with them, do conventions with them, and I found these conventions to be, first of all, amazing. And like I said earlier, had I known these things, I didn't even know they existed, frankly, until like 15 years ago. And I'm like, this is a whole world I didn't realize was here, and it's amazing. It's so much fun. And as I, went to these things, I started to realize, it's great to go to these, but there's nothing like this in upstate New York. Nothing at all like this in upstate New York. So I decided in 2011 to give it a shot, and I did the first one in downtown Syracuse at the On Center there. And for a first-year convention, we had almost 1,000 people, which is a great success given anybody's measure of a first-year con. And it's grown from there. It's just been, it's never without its headaches, I'll tell you that. But at the end of the weekend, when people are coming up to me and thanking me and telling me how much fun they had, and the celebrities are telling me what a great time they had, and they'll come back anytime, that's pretty gratifying for me.
That's awesome right there. 1,000 people for your first con. That's amazing because you don't know how it's gonna go. You just kind of throw this idea out there. I mean, I know it was more than just throwing an idea out, but just like, hey, I want to try this, and boom.
Yeah, I know you're absolutely right. I mean, I've talked to a lot of first time promoters before and after and since, And, a lot of first time promoters hope they get 100 people through the door. And, that's just the way the business is. Now, I happen to have a bit of an advantage because in the Syracuse market at the time in 2011, I owned 6 radio stations in the market. So I was able to promote it beyond what anybody else normally would be able to promote something like that. So that helped out a lot to get it, give it a kickstart. But since then, it's been a labor of love, and it's been a real grind. And my only frustration is that upstate New York only has so much population, so you can only get to a certain size. Especially when you're talking about being at Turning Stone, which it really, if you look at Turning Stone, is kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Syracuse half hour one way, you've got Utica 20 minutes the other way, but there's really no population where Turning Stone is. And, so that makes it a little bit of a challenge. Plus, there are a couple other things that have been hard to work with there. But either way, we just want to share this event with as many people as possible because we love it and we know the people that come love it.
Oh, definitely. We definitely love it. And actually, this will be my wife's first time coming to this con. She's gonna come and help me run the table and all that. So that'll be cool. She's
Awesome.
a big horror fan also, so she'll get to check out this.
Oh, that's
con.
great. Yeah, then she'll fit right in.
Yeah, she's gonna love it. What else was I gonna ask you? You said this is the eighth year, right?
I think this would be considered the ninth year.
Oh,
yeah,
so.
The ninth year, and it'll be our 14th show because we've been doing the New England shows as well.
Okay, so next year is the big 10-year anniversary. That'll be something fun to be a part of.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. I'm already looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I look forward to it every year, and the minute one closes, I take about 2 weeks to recuperate because as the show gets close, I don't sleep much, and I'm running on adrenaline for a lot of days in a row. So I kind of crash after the show, but as soon as that hangover wears off, I'm up at it and working on the next show along with all my key volunteers. I've got a lot of people that help me put it together.
That's always good. That's nice, actually. Do you guys have as far as ScareCon goes, do you guys have a podcast or like a podcast network?
We have all right. Well, let me kind of answer that in a roundabout way. I personally do a syndicated radio talk show. I'm on 60 radio stations around the country every night, Monday through Friday, and so I'm busy with that full time. It's a 2-hour live radio show on terrestrial radio, regular old radio. You can hear me in 60 markets, and that's kind of my full-time focus. And then with ScareCon, what I've started doing, and it seems to be working pretty well. For a while, I was doing a podcast, but I've morphed that into a Facebook Live broadcast.
Okay.
And we're gonna be kicking it up again. I haven't done it regularly, but as we get close to one of the events, I start doing it, and I bring in the celebrities that are going to be at the show. We talk about them, and we talk about the show, and it's a Facebook Live broadcast. And so far, it's been received really, really well. In addition to that, I do 3 or 4 other podcast and streaming shows on different topics, some horror related, some paranormal related, some just a bunch of guys hanging around drinking beers talking about stuff related. So, yeah, I'm pretty busy with all that stuff, but related to ScareCon specifically, ScareCon TV is what I do on Facebook.
Okay, cool. I'll have to definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's a great way to bring, I bring on all the celebrities that are going to be at the upcoming show. We talk. Each broadcast is 20 to 30 minutes. They're not very long. And, we take calls sometimes, or we answer comments, questions in the comment section, whatever. It's fully interactive, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. That's always good. That sounds good. That's cool, though.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's great. I mean, I'm still learning all these new ways to. I'm a radio guy. I mean, I started in radio in the 80s, and I've owned radio stations, and I've been in radio since then. So all this other stuff, YouTube streaming, Facebook streaming, podcasting, all this stuff is new to me, and it's fascinating. I've dabbled in it here and there, but it's really becoming kind of maturing into its own, and it's pretty exciting.
I can speak with as far as live streaming, I've done that a few times. I want to get back into that more. In podcasting, it's fun. I'll say that straight out. It's so freaking fun to do it, especially like with the horror thing that I do, because I get other fans on here with me on this podcast. Like I have a few friends that'll help me, and then sometimes I just have random people they'll send me an email. They want to review a certain movie or whatever, and we'll do that. But it's just so fun to just get on here, talk horror with whoever, and just have a great time with other horror fans, whether it be this or a video. Like sometimes I'll do which I haven't done it in a while, but I'm getting back into it. Unboxing videos, like the horror block stuff or
Mm-hmm.
coffin box and all that. And I really enjoy it.
Well, one of the things that's fascinating about this particular way to quote unquote broadcast versus, what I've been used to in traditional radio and regular television broadcasting is that you can be specific to a niche. You wouldn't be able to necessarily make it fly on regular radio with a horror show because it's not general interest enough.
Mm-hmm.
But with podcasting and these specific streams, you can talk about whatever topic you want, and all the people in the world that are interested in that topic will find you because they want to talk about that topic. And the people that don't and have no interest in it, then they just won't, they'll do something else. And that's what makes this really, really unique. It can be so specifically targeted, and it fills a niche for people who are looking for that kind of content. It's really an amazing thing.
That's very true right there. Very, very true. Because as far as podcasts go, I listen to so many different genres of podcasts. It's crazy. But you're right. Like if you want to listen to a certain thing, you can go to. I want to listen to horror. I want to listen to comedy. I want to listen to a TED talk. I want to listen to sports, and just those specific things you can choose to listen to that, or, which I do love about that.
Mm-hmm.
Now
yeah, it's a brave new world. It's pretty exciting stuff.
With the radio and then the podcasting, it wasn't a tough transition for you then, right? As far as the recording and all that.
I'm sorry. Ask that again. Say it again.
Can you hear me?
Ask that question again for me.
Oh, I said with the radio and
May have lost you.
You lost me? Hang on. I was saying from radio to podcasting. I know you do both, but it wasn't really a tough transition then, right?
Well, no, not tough in the sense that I can open up a microphone and I can talk about anything, and I can do that whether I'm live on the radio or I'm recording to an audio file, or I'm streaming on a social media site. That's the same pretty much.
Okay.
What's different about it is the approach to what you're talking about. Now, if I'm talking and broadcasting on a regular radio station, what I'm thinking about is getting as many people in that market. Let's say it's Syracuse, New York. Getting as many people in Syracuse, New York, interested in what I'm saying, because now I'm fighting for people ears in Syracuse, New York. I'm not fighting for people who care about horror. I'm not fighting for people who care about sports. I'm fighting for everybody in Syracuse, New York. Now, when I take that idea over to a podcast and the podcast is about horror, at that point, now I'm just fighting for people who are interested in horror. So it's a different approach to how you're presenting your material. However, the mechanics of it are pretty much the same.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was always wondering that because I've never done radio or done anything with radio, but I was wondering if the transition would be, not like really hard, but would be a little difficult. Maybe going from podcasting to radio versus radio to podcasting, because with podcasting, like if you say something and mess up right here, you can delete that and keep going. Radio, radio, you mess up, you got to kind of just keep going, act like it didn't happen. I'm guessing.
There is a big difference. Obviously, there are some differences. That's one of them. Obviously, there's some things you cannot say on radio, especially if it's live radio.
True.
So you have those rules you have to live by. And then there are things that you don't have to deal with in podcasting that live radio you do. You've got to worry about your commercial breaks. I mean, there's a clock you have to follow. There's so many breaks every hour, and you've got to take them whether, regardless. You've got to hit the top of the hour and hit the ID. I mean, there's certain mechanics in a radio broadcast and a live radio broadcast that you have to pay attention to and make sure you get in, versus a podcast where it's kind of free form. There are commercial breaks, or all those things, but it's really at your discretion as to how those things are done.
That's true. That's interesting, though. I like that take on that. Thank you for that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've been doing radio for, 30 years.
And you still love it then, right?
Well, I do. I love it a lot, and that's why I ended up going into ownership. I've owned up to 20 radio stations at one point, and it's a very lucrative business at the time. But it's all changed a lot, and some people think, oh well, has it changed because of satellite radio, or has it changed because of the internet and people are listening to podcasts? And all those things are kind of true, but the biggest game changer for the radio business, for traditional radio business, is the fact that the internet has put all of the retailers out of business. And the retailers are the advertisers for radio, and radio survives on its advertising revenue. So when all the mom and pop shoe stores and all the mom and pop sporting goods stores and all the mom and pop, antique store, whatever they are, go out of business because people are buying everything on Amazon or they're buying everything on eBay or whatever it happens to be, all those advertisers for the local radio stations disappeared. And that started happening about 10 years ago. And right now, the radio business is in a bit of a crisis because not because they don't have listeners. There are a lot of listeners, but they don't have advertisers. The advertisers are going away, and that's a real problem.
Wow. I never even thought about that. That does make a ton of sense, and I can kind of see how it is. It's similar to I guess you can say it's similar to how Walmart is taking up a lot of the mom and pop shops that are all around everywhere. Everybody can just go to one spot and get everything.
Yeah, no, it started with the big box stores. I mean, the first cry for help that we all heard in the industry was, the Walmarts are putting people out of business. But what Walmart did to local retailing, Amazon and the internet has done 10 times over to local retailing. It's that much. I mean, the difference between going to Walmart and going to a local sporting goods store, you still got to go out and do it. The difference between going to Amazon, ordering something, having it at your door in 2 days versus going out to a store, that's a night and day difference. People people love shopping from the comfort of their home and just waiting for it to show up on their porch. That's, something that a mom and pop retailer has a real tough time competing with.
See, I'm kind of in the middle with that because there is things you can only get. Being in upstate New York, being in Albany, New York, there's certain things you can only get on the internet, and then for certain deals. But
that's true.
Because even at Walmart, there's sorry to cut you off, but they have like these horror shirts they'll get around Halloween time. Like they'll have like Jason on them, Michael Myers, etc. You go to the store, they'll be like $7-8 for the same exact shirt. Ordering it online with Walmart, I know this is going against the internet, but ordering that same exact shirt online at Walmart is like $27 to $30 for the same shirt that you go into that store and pay $8 for in the same store, which I find weird.
Yeah, well, there are going to be exceptions to everything, but the bottom line is that the world is becoming an internet shopping world, and with the exception of very few things, people are going to default to the better price and the convenience of shopping on their phones or their computers from the comfort of their home. It's just easier. I find myself doing it too, even though I sit here and talk all day long about supporting your local retailers. But the honest truth is they're all gone. I mean, there's nobody to support anymore. There's very, very few local retailers left anywhere.
That's very true. Everything's a chain store. Chain stores, chain restaurants,
and the chain stores are disappearing too. I mean, Toys R Us went out of business this year, and you go into Walmart anymore, and Walmart was a retail, still is a retail giant. However, you can go into a Walmart now, and you can start to see the effects of the internet on their business. Their shelves aren't as full as they used to be. Their aisles aren't as full as they used to be. It's affecting everybody. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I know it's a convenient thing for me as a shopper. I get a better price and I get something delivered to my house. Plus, whatever I want in the world, name a product. I type it into my search bar and boom, it shows up on Amazon. It's there. It's a great price. I click order and it's at my house in 2 days. That's an unbelievable way to shop, but it is changing our economy completely.
It really is. And again, like you're saying, there's good about it because again, say, you got to store them out or whatever, or you just don't feel like going out. Hey, let me click this, order this. I don't need it for a couple of days anyway, so let me order it now, and then it'll be here in a couple of days. You can even there's even things where you can set up stuff if you have pets, like for dog food, for example.
Yeah, automatic,
have it automatically come, say, once a month, which can be very convenient. I'm not going to lie. It can be very, very convenient.
I'm not going to deny that at all, and that's why they're winning the battle, because it's convenient and you tend to get a better price than you're going to get at a local retailer. It's just the nature of it, and it's sad in some ways. It's also exciting and invigorating in other ways, but it's going to be something. It's a change that's affecting more than just the retailers. And bring this conversation full circle, it's affecting the radio business and local radio stations and newspapers. I mean, newspapers are almost all completely extinct.
That's
gone.
true.
And it's the same reason. Now, newspapers, I think, have a bigger challenge because people would rather read online than they would, grab a paper, whatever. But at the same time, the reason their business model has failed is because it's the same advertisers disappearing from their pages as it is from radio stations. Same thing, same problem.
I guess, well, I can, a good thing about the internet is us doing this interview right here. That's a plus right there. I mean,
Absolutely.
and I'll say with another thing is people starting, like I have a few friends that are trying to start like small businesses. Like I have a friend that makes shirts and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of his stuff is, he has he has his own website and all that. So a lot of his stuff is online to go and get that. So I guess that's one good thing. I guess you can say kind of mom and pop type of thing about it. Huh?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It offers an entrepreneurial opportunity for a lot of people that wouldn't have one otherwise. If you want to sell, name a product. I mean, let's talk about the horror industry. You want to sell horror T-shirts, and let's say you were a mom and pop retailer and you had a little store, in the corner on a street in Albany selling horror T-shirts. You'd do okay probably, but you're limited to the Albany market by doing it that way. Today, you can start a mom and pop, a horror T-shirt retail presence online, and you can sell to the world. You have the whole world as your customer base now. So yeah, there's a give and take on this whole thing. And I wasn't trying to in any way criticize or impugn the internet or people that use the internet for shopping. Not at all. All I was saying is that the radio business has changed because the mom and pop retailers are gone, and therefore they're not there to advertise. That was really my only point. The rest of it, give and take, pluses and minuses, up and down, whatever. We could argue it all day or discuss it all day, and there's certainly truth on both sides.
Oh no, I agree with you 100% on all that. I'll say one big thing I miss about a lot of mom and pop stores / restaurants, because you find them here and there, is like the personal, when you go there and you like kind of personally know them, because you go in there say once a week, once or twice a week, and they remember your face. They're real friendly. You're not rushed. This is for stores and restaurants, the mom and pop ones. You're not really rushed out of there. It's like a family kind of thing,
Yeah, well, it's those personal relationships that a mom and pop retailer can offer that Amazon isn't going to give you for sure. Walmart won't even give those to you too. So those are the strengths still. But unfortunately, in today's world, that doesn't seem to be enough to keep them all in business. So sadly, that's just the nature of things.
Yeah, you're right. So back onto a little horror.
Well, yeah, we're talking about horror, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, horror can tie into that. There's actually a store called I believe it's the Nightmare Shop out in St. Louis, and I became kind of cool with these guys. I've had them on my podcast a couple times. They actually have their own horror store, which is a store, and then they also have an online shop, which I think is pretty cool. Which I would love. That's one thing I would love to see is some horror shops around here.
Yeah. They're hard to find, but they're really cool when you do find them.
There's nothing around here in Albany, but I'm sure that they're amazing to be in person. Like I can only imagine going in there and grabbing that Pamela Voorhees figure I want.
Well, that's one of the things cool about events like SCARICON is you basically walk into that show floor and you've got 60 of those retailers spread around the floor, all with different stuff. That's like a dream come true. You're talking about, love to go into one of these shops somewhere. Well, put 60 of them on a floor and wander through that. That's kid in a candy store stuff.
Yeah, I love how you tied it back into SCARICON. That was good. And you're right. You're so right about that. You go in there, you see we were talking about shirts. You see some awesome shirts. You see the figures. You see everything. Like I found a blade from Puppet Master. I was looking for one for years online and all that. I was looking for one in box, but I didn't find one in box. But found one perfect condition at SCARICON. If not last year, then definitely the year before. I got that figure finally, and I'm happy with that. So. Yes, everybody.
It's a good find.
Go to that SCARICON and check it out because you'll find some great stuff along with the celebrity guests.
Always plenty to do, whether it's the film screenings, which we do all weekend, it's the panel discussions and Q&A sessions, which we do all weekend, or the parties, which we do Friday and Saturday night of the event. There's not a minute that you're going to be bored, and there's not a minute that you're going to say, geez, there's nothing to do. There's so much going on the whole time.
Now, the parties I've never done. I stayed out there one time as far as going to SCARICON. We stayed one night. My brother and I stayed out there one night just because we're only like an hour away. But I'm staying the whole weekend this time. How are those VIP things?
The VIP party, it's hard for me to be a judge because I'm very biased. However, I can tell you that celebrities come up to me all the time and say, "This is the best VIP party that we've ever been a part of." Our attendees, the ones that come as VIPs and go to the VIP party, always say this is an amazing time, and we try to make it that. And the Saturday night party, which everybody is invited to, everybody who's a ticket holder of SCARACon, is just a gigantic. And this year it's going to be Halloween themed because it's Halloween weekend. It's just a gigantic Halloween party. Everybody has a great time. We have a great band that's been with us for a number of years that always the crowd loves and have gotten used to hearing. And there's a lot of energy in the room. It's a great facility. I can't say enough things about it. It's so much fun. It really is.
Nice, nice. Now you said the Saturday one that's not VIP only. That's for everybody, or
the Saturday party is for everybody who's a ticket holder of SCARACon. You don't have to be VIP. The Friday night party is VIP only.
okay. I may have to check out the Saturday one. Maybe both, but maybe I'll check out. I don't know. I gotta discuss that with the wife, but
Yeah.
that's interesting right there, though. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And the Friday night party will be about 150 people. Again, VIPs. It's an open bar party. Everybody who's got a VIP ticket is going to get free drinks at the party. We have some musical entertainment, and all the celebrities will be in there. Again, you've got 25 or so celebrities with about 100 guests, attendees in the room, and there's pictures and there's autographs and there's hugs and handshakes. I mean, it's a really, really excellent time. And when the celebrities get a few drinks in them, you never know what kind of stories they're going to tell you. And actually, it's funny because you mentioned Sid Haig at the last VIP party at SCARACon New England. I actually play guitar and I sat in with the band, and Sid Haig came up with me and he sang a song, and
That's awesome.
which was unbelievable. It was a blues song, and then Sean Whalen sang a song, and then Linnea Quigley came up and sang a song.
Wow.
And I'm trying to think who else. There were a couple other ones of the celebrity. At SCARACon at Turning Stone, Bobby Brady, Mike Lookinland, he sang a song at the party. Felissa Rose sang. It gets to be so much fun. I mean, these are experiences that you just don't have anywhere else.
Yeah, you're talking me into this VIP thing. Oh man, I find it cool just when I hear stories, not necessarily from SCARACon, just in general. I hear stories of fans that get to just hang out with celebrities at something like not the con part. The con part's amazing, but just the VIP part where people can kind of they're a little bit. I'm not saying they're not loosened up, but they're obviously a lot more loosened up with a few drinks in their system, and they're just kind of letting their hair down, kind of just having a good time.
Yeah,
So
they're more
that's
relaxed. They're more relaxed maybe than they are, when they're behind their table. They're in a mood to socialize a little bit themselves. You're right. They have a drink or two. They loosen up a little bit. Those are the precious moments of these types of events for sure.
That's all. Oh man, I just can't wait for this con. I think about this con all the time, from when it ends to when I'm there at the next one. I'm like this. Yeah, I have such a great time there. Like I was telling my again back to my friend Rob. I was like, look, we got to start doing this con every year because it's a great con. My one friend moved out to Henry moved out to Denver, but he's gonna come back next year to come to the con and help me with my table and all that. So
awesome.
Yeah, so definitely excited every year for it.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to mention, because you've kind of touched on it a few times here, because of my background in radio and transition from radio into podcasting and live streaming on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, I have a real appreciation for people like you, Aaron, that do these podcasts, which is why I've opened up SCARACon to the podcasting community. We invite podcasters who have a legitimate podcast to come, and we give them space to set up. We give them an opportunity with media credentials to talk to the celebrities, interview them when they can, as long as it doesn't become intrusive to what they have to do. And, we just extend that hand to the podcasting community because we, first of all, understand how important the podcasting community is to our business. And I don't mean, SCARACon business. I'm talking about the horror business.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we understand that the people that go through the effort to create a podcast to talk about horror topics are the cream of the crop when it comes to fans. They're the people that love it the most. They're the people that talk about it the most, and they're the people that influence other people about it the most. So we really, really are eager to extend that invitation to podcasters and the podcasting community within the horror realm.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. It's like I was always wanting to get a table. It's just I'm just like, oh man, look at these prices, this, that, and the third. But you guys invited me to it, so I gotta say thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, again, it's something that we think is important. We think what you do is very, very important to the industry.
And with the podcasting though, like I'm not gonna say because nobody has. I'm not gonna say I've seen every single horror movie, but it's opening my eyes to watch a lot more horror movies from you know when I was younger as a kid, older movies that I haven't seen, and even newer ones. It's just the way. Well, I might as well just tell you the way I do my podcast is like if I'll have a guest on or a friend, whoever, and we'll just during the week we'll figure out what movie I'll let them pick the movie they want to review. They'll let me know. I'll watch it. They'll watch it, and we'll just discuss the movie. 100% spoilers, unless I did one fan made film. So like if it's a fan made film and they give me the permission to watch it and my whoever's on the guest to watch it with me, and they tell me don't spoil this and this, I won't. But other than that, 100% spoilers and all that, and I let people know about it. So tune in at your own risk when it comes to that.
As long as you're letting people know there's spoilers, they shouldn't be upset about that.
Oh, I've said it in multiple episodes, so if they don't know by now, they're obviously not really listening. But again, like I said, the only way I won't do it is if it's a fan-made film that not many people have seen, and they request me not to, can you not spoil the
Right.
ending? Can you not spoil this scene? Cool. But other than that, I
Right.
spoil the hell out of the movies.
That's perfect.
And I won't do like if I just seen The Nun. I didn't do a podcast on that yet, but I wouldn't do a movie that just came. Like if a movie dropped say today, and I did a podcast tomorrow on it, I wouldn't spoil that movie. I'll give it a little bit of time so people can go see it.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that gives people out an opportunity to check it out, and then when you're talking about it, they can relate to what you're talking about.
Exactly. And then, I mean, as far as the older movies go, because I listen to other horror podcasts and they'll discuss a movie. I'm like, you know what? I need to go check that movie out, or I need to go check that movie out and do a podcast on it. Or if I've already seen it, I want to do a podcast on this movie too. Which I love that.
Yeah, and I'm obviously a big horror fan myself, but I'll very rarely go to the movie theater to watch a horror movie. I would much rather watch it at home, on my TV in my chair, with my lights off, and not worrying about other kids making noise or somebody's cell phone going off or whatever. So I tend not to see movies until they've come out on VOD or Netflix or Amazon or one of those deals.
I'm kind of in the middle with that. Like, if it's like The Nun, I went to go see that one because I really wanted to see it, and two because my wife and I we seen both the Conjuring movies in theaters, so that
Right.
whole series. Same thing with like Insidious and Sinister. And there's a theater up here. I'm actually in Schenectady, New York, and there's two theaters near me that there's pretty much nobody in them for the most part, especially the one out in Rotterdam. We went to when we went to go see The Nun. There was maybe 10 people in the theater, including 10, 15 people in the theater, and we went as a group of 4. So that's always great. And I'll go, if it's something I really want to see, I'll go to the movies around like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. One, for the matinee prices, and two, because it's before all the kids and everybody gets in there, so it's not loud.
Right.
But, yeah, so I'm pretty much the same, though. I like to watch from the comfort of my own home for the most part.
I've become too spoiled, right?
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, though.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it.
So, what's your favorite horror genre, if you had to choose one?
I'm partial to I don't know. I like subtle psychological horror. I mean, I enjoy it all.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not a huge gore fan. I mean, I only take so much of that. I prefer the subtle psychological stuff, like Blair Witch Project. To me, the original. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people love it. I'm one of those that loved it. I loved the psychological nature of that whole thing. Having said that, my favorite stuff is actually the classic stuff. I mean, I'm talking about going back to the black and white days of Universal horror, and there's nothing scary about those films anymore, but they're just so, I don't even know what the word is. There's such a romance about them that I'll sit and watch Bela Lugosi movies all day long, or Boris Karloff movies, or Lon Chaney Jr. movies, whatever. I'm really, really a fan of the old classics. But again, that's splitting hairs. I love it all. I'll watch any of it. And you give me a good supernatural ghost story type thing. If it's a good one, I'm really into that. If you give me like I watched what was it, the Terrifier. Did you happen to see that on Netflix? Terrifier.
I'm gonna tell you about that. I freaking love that movie.
I did too.
And
I did too.
that guy, David Howard Thornton, I'm actually friends with him on Facebook. I've been telling him try to get invited to ScareCon. If he can't make it this year, next year, because
I'll
he's
tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. You should have him reach out to me because I would be happy to have him at ScareCon. Because I really did enjoy his performance in that film. Thought it was great.
I'm actually going to if you can after this, if you can email me the information, whatever you need me to talk to him about, I'll do that right after this interview because
Okay.
He's real. I actually told this to him. Told him this the other day, like with his fans, how the people are at ScareCon. He's just like that with his fans on Facebook. He adds everybody. He's talking to everybody, and just really, really friendly and really appreciative of his fans. And that movie. That movie, I know it didn't have much of a story to it, but it was my favorite. It was my movie of the year just because his acting was so great as Art the Clown. It was just so. It was freaky. It was a freaky freaking clown. One of my one of my friends was like, "I'm not afraid of clowns, but that clown freaked me out because he was silent through the whole movie, and he was like a mime / clown, and just everything he did was just amazing. Like even when he was laughing, how he was laughing like a mime, and
Right.
oh man, it was great acting.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Normally I probably wouldn't have been drawn to that type of movie right away, but I watched it and I have actually watched it a couple times since, and the performances were great. You said there's not much of a plot. There really isn't, but in the slasher film, I mean, do you really expect much of a real plot now? I mean, it's more of a cat and mouse kind of plot. And that's what this was. There were some surprises, but man, his performance and like you said, that mime approach to being a clown just made it all the more creepy. And it was a good one. I can't say enough good things about it. I was really pleased.
Oh man, I talk about that movie all the time, and every time I talk to somebody, like, hey, did you see Terrifier? No. Listen, you need to go see that movie. You need to turn on your Netflix and you need to watch that movie because the performance was amazing. It's oh my god, I can't say enough about that movie. I loved it.
Yeah, it's one of the better ones I've seen in a long time. Because there's a lot of disappointments that come out, and this one wasn't even on my radar, and I watched it, and it was really good.
Yeah, it was one of those movies that you know, Facebook always has hypes up a movie, and that was one of the movies that Facebook hyped up, and it lived up to the hype or exceeded the hype in my opinion. And
Yeah, and I didn't realize until after the fact that Art the Clown was actually a character in All Hallows Eve. That was Damien Leone's movie prior to Terrifier, and there was a short film called Terrifier. So Art the Clown has been around a little while. I have to go back and see All Hallows Eve because I haven't seen that film. I want to see how Art.
oh, you still there?
I can hear you right now.
All right. Yeah, he was. I did see All Hallows Eve. That was pretty good too. And what I thought was cool was how I don't want to ruin All Hallows Eve for you, but was how they pulled that one character out of All Hallows Eve and then just made a full feature movie about him, which they are in talks of doing a sequel to Terrifier, which I cannot wait to see. When that's
Yeah,
all
well,
said and done.
obviously they set it up, and again, not to offer any spoilers here, I'll let you do that if you want to. It's your show, but clearly it was set up for a sequel.
Oh yeah, and when you're on this show, spoil away. It's all welcome.
Well, at the end of Art the Clown is no ordinary clown because Art the Clown clearly has some supernatural properties, and at the end of the film, when he blows his brains out. And then he's in the coroner's office and is seemingly healing himself. And all of a sudden, we know that he's not dead anymore.
Mm-hmm. What a movie! What a great movie!
Definitely a good one. Very, very happy with that.
And I'm actually what I'm hoping is somebody at ScareCon one has the Blu-ray to this movie that they would like to sell because I want it, and 2 has some sort of painting or something cool that they made themselves of Art the Clown because that's another thing I love about going to cons, scare con, for example, is I like going to the artist that made something that's kind of a, even if they make multiple ones, but you're only going to get it from that person. Like this person
Right.
made this, this canvas, this painting, or this little figure they made. I love getting that kind of stuff because I know how much it means to the artist, and then I love collecting that kind of stuff. It's awesome.
Well, it's also very timely, like you said. Terrifier is a pretty popular movie at the moment. That there are going to be people, artists, and vendors at Scarecon. They're going to have Art the Clown or Terrifier related stuff available. That's just the way it works, and that's what makes it so cool.
And that's what I'll be after. So Art the Clown, Pamela Voorhees, I'll be after them at Scarecon, definitely.
We've got Aaron's shopping list here. We're all set.
Yes. And any other thing that's horror related, which is everything I want, but I can't afford everything. I can't afford everything there, unfortunately. Or
Got to make some choices. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can't get everything.
But there's certain ones, like I'm getting better at making my choices. I hope this year, because there's certain ones, like I said, the Pamela thing. If it's there, I have to get. Art, I feel like I want to have to get, but there's certain figures that I know I can get later because they're still being made or they're just not gone yet. But then there's ones again like Pamela that's not coming back. I got to get that because
right.
I look at it like this: the longer I wait, the more it's going to cost me. The longer I wait, the more it's going to cost me. So I just need to go in there and bite the bullet, take it, and do what I got to do with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good philosophy. It's a good way to go.
Now, where are you at the con usually? I'd like to meet you at the con this year.
I mean, during
during the convention.
Where am I when the I'm usually running all over the place. If I was in any one place, more often than not, it's up front at the registration area. But I don't spend a lot of time there either. I have an office that I am at that's kind of in the back of the convention hall. I spend time in there taking care of things, but I'm just running all over the place generally. And then at night, in the evenings, I tend to hit the parties, and then I'll hook up with a few celebrity friends of mine, and we'll usually end the night in there's a bar at Turning Stone called The Gig, which is a rock and roll club, and we usually end up going there at the end of the night. So that's kind of my routine, but it changes every year, and it really depends on what fires have to be put out, what problems are needing to be solved, and that kind of thing. That's kind of my role at that point.
I understand that though. It's completely understandable. Bouncing around and then finally get to kind of lounge at the end.
Yeah, there's very little sleep for me on Scarecon weekend.
I could tell. There's going to be very little sleep for me, and that's because, well, for one, I'm going to be I'm just going to be excited the whole weekend, and then just having a table, being out there the whole weekend, and having a table is going to be like, I can't sleep. And then I know there's going to be a point during the con, if I don't get that much sleep, I'm like, oh, I should have slept longer. I should have laid down earlier. But
yeah, we all think that, then you just, your second wind kicks in, you keep going. And then Monday morning, you try to move and you're completely a zombie. And then I know I crash for several days after that.
Yes. Sleep will be my best friend then, hopefully. What are the, what was I gonna, damn. I had something and it just slipped away that damn quick. Wow. Do you have any questions for me?
No, but I'm looking forward to you being at Scarecon. I'm looking forward to shaking your hand, saying hello. And are you going to be doing some recording while you're there? Is that your intention?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that question. What I would like to do is, depending on how strong the internet is there, I would like to I would love to go live there on my Facebook. And yes, I want to record while I'm there also. That's going to happen. What I want to do is, and I got the power supply already and all that stuff I need to get. I'm going to have like just, random fans, if they come up to the table, like, hey, you want to sit down, introduce yourself, tell me your favorite horror movie, this, that, and the third, and give them one of my business cards. Send me an email if you would like to be on the podcast one day.
Yeah.
But give them a chance to, talk for a couple of minutes record with me for a couple of minutes, tell them their favorite movie, let me know what got them into horror and what brought them to Scarecon.
Yeah, that's great. That's what it's all about. Perfect.
So, I mean, we can wrap it up if you want.
Yeah, I'm all set. I'm in the middle of a couple other projects, so I probably should. But I appreciate you taking the time to talk about Scaricon, to have me on the program, and to be there for us. I'm really happy that you're going to be, and thanks so much.
Anytime. And do you want to plug anything before we close off?
Just a couple quick things. Obviously, if there's any interest in Scaricon, which if you're a horror fan, there's no reason there shouldn't be, go to scaricon.com. Keep monitoring that because we're continually adding to the celebrity guests and the schedule and the film screenings. All that stuff is being updated daily, and it'll continue to be updated for the next several weeks right up until Scaricon. The event is going to be held at Turning Stone Casino October 26th to the 28th. A couple other things I'd ask you to do is visit me on Facebook. It's just JV Johnson. Love to have you like and follow my page there. And also go to my YouTube page and subscribe to that. That's youtube.com/C, the letter C/JV Johnson. Love to have you be part of that as well.
That's awesome. And just stay right there if you can for me, please, for a minute. I'm going to close it out, and I just want to discuss like a couple quick things after I close it out. But anyway, fans, everybody, thank you for listening. For those of you who are listening to, or when you hear this episode, definitely go check out Scaricon. It's an amazing, amazing, fun con. Come check out my table. Sit at the table with me for a few minutes. Take a card. Talk some horror, and just check out this con. There's always amazing celebrity guests there. There's always amazing vendors. So yes, and you guys know where you can find me. I'm on Podbean. I'm on iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud. No, sorry, not SoundCloud. Spotify, YouTube, and many other platforms. Facebook, you can find me Horror with Search 30 on Facebook. Go check those out. And again, thanks for being on the episode. Everyone else, I'll see you.